Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Prime News series of interviews with top business and technology experts. I'm Dana Kohut, and today I'm delighted to welcome Raj Nair, who is CEO at Avesha Systems. It's a company that builds a robust platform for Kubernetes application management. I wanted to start off our conversation with your background. If you could give our listeners and our viewers just a brief overview of your career and maybe steps that have led you to your current position at Avesha Systems.
Sure. My background is, I've been in the space of networking and the web in particular for over 20 years. Actually, in the web space itself, about 20 years ago, I helped create a company called ArrowPoint, which created like the first network load balancer for the web, and it was a great success. We had an IPO and was acquired by Cisco for about $6 billion.
Wow.
And that was in the 2001 timeframe, and then about around between 2007 to 14, there was another company I created called Azuki, which was a platform for streaming video on OTT streams to phones and tablets. And of course, we started right at the time the iPhone came out. So and we had lots of very high-profile customers, including HBO Go and Showtime and Bell Canada. And then that was acquired by Ericsson in 2014. And then this company, I started, essentially doing some brainstorming in the 2019 timeframe, and then we started the company started right in the middle of the pandemic, towards the end of 2020, and then we have since then been able to develop some exciting products, and particularly our focus is on Kubernetes and to help companies manage their Kubernetes deployments, particularly when it's on reach a certain scale and they find it difficult because a lot of the manual tasks we have been able to automate. And so when, for example, you go into, say, multiple clusters in Kubernetes, you have a problem there in managing that deployment. And we have very good solutions for that, both from a deployment, connectivity standpoint, and so on, which makes it very, very simple to do. And our solution works across any cloud or on-prem, any version of Kubernetes on both sides, or in multiple clusters, and it will scale very nicely. We also have a phenomenal use case of that for doing chargeback, which is something that a lot of customers have a lot of trouble with because they have reached a scale where their costs are really very high and they don't really know who is using what.
Mm-hmm.
And so our solution actually allows you to manage teams that have these deployments across multiple locations, and you can account for their usage across all of these locations, but in a very simple way in a dashboard. So that's something that our customers are appreciating that. And then we have another product, also again in the same theme of helping customers scale. And this is particularly when it comes down to auto scaling of their infrastructure. We used actually Gen AI in this particular domain. It is not a large language model, just to be clear. It is a large model, but for scaling infrastructure. And what it does is it keeps it it's a predictive model, so it's able to look at your traffic and then predict and accordingly scale up and down your pods, which are the unit of scaling in Kubernetes, and then that in turn allows you to meet defined SLA, whether it's errors or throughput or whatever it is, and then at the same time, it removes the manual part of the work, and that's the part of it, because that's the challenge that people have, because using HPA is very difficult right now, and we have made that very easy and a no-brainer.
Yeah, so Raj, when you are talking about the solution that
Yeah,
helps scale up and down, right, the Kubernetes pods, you are referring to Smart Scaler.
smart scaler, yes, yeah.
Can you tell us, elaborate a little bit more? So this is as you have rightfully pointed, this is a big pain point, big challenge for organization.
Yeah.
And excuse me, I know that you have come up with, as you mentioned, with a single pane of glass solution that actually takes away that pain. So if you could elaborate a little bit more on the mechanics, how specifically that solution helps organizations scale up and down their Kubernetes application usage.
Yeah. So, I mean, I will start off with, many organizations, they have a problem where, obviously, as I was telling you, they want to keep track of who's spending what. But then when you go beyond that, there are different use cases. And I'll talk about two very important ones. One is, for example, there is a large bank that we work with, and they have a situation where there's a lot of these, clusters, and we have different teams, and they use whatever settings, because all the tool that you only have right now is this for HPA is this setting for CPU based utilization, and frankly, that's not enough, because even the DevOps guys who are doing that, they don't really know how the application, because an application can consist of 100 microservices. You really don't even know the service dependencies, the service graph, or ultimately what is driving the performance of that application. You have no clue. So we wanted to take all of that difficulty out of the equation, and all you do is, with an agent that we install, it collects the metrics of not only infrastructure but also the application performance metrics. Like, for example, the errors, the number of requests that you were able to satisfy and the number that didn't, or the latency, and things of that nature, which really impact the business logic, and which is the application that was built for, how is it performing, and these go into our model, inferencing model, which then gives back a recommendation on how many pods are needed to handle a particular level of traffic that's coming in, and then accordingly to scale up the individual microservices, which we also do. Our software is able to do. So when you as a solution, when you have this in place, what you're getting as a customer is that your DevOps guys have a real tool that can help them to be able to scale this infrastructure up and down, and they are not put in a situation where they are guessing how much they have to scale, because our tool is data driven. It's looking at at the past history, and it's saying, hey, from the data, it looks like you'll have to scale to this level, and they're all different. Each microservice is, because of its location in the service graph. It just depends on whether it's a front end or whether it is some other, or it's a database or some other service. So they know exactly what it has. Each of these microservices have to be scaled up or down to meet the demand. So this is one major benefit. So from a DevOps productivity and headache standpoint, this is really a big help for our customers.
I know, Raj, I've been watching one of your other interviews, and you
Yeah,
mentioned in that interview that actually this benefit, that having more productive DevOps teams is
yeah,
more important for your customers rather than just cost saving
yeah.
part.
Yeah, it is really helpful because if you just look at pure cost, it is really not, because what happens is many people have already committed, to contracts with the cloud providers. And so it's not that. It is really to help these customers, to manage these infrastructures better and to help meet the SLA requirements. And they can't keep constantly asking for more and more resources. And that's just not practical. So they want to first optimize what they have, and then obviously, if they have to get more, we can also help them because we have data which we have made available on our dashboard, through which they will know that it looks like I'll need to add this much more capacity, and that they can do it in a very informed manner. That is really the important thing there. The other use case which I was going to talk about was this is another group of customers using this. There is this thing called event scaling. So what it is um, let's say you are a retailer and you know that there is a event coming up, let's say Black Friday or whatever it is, and you know that you're going to see about 10x the traffic. So how do you scale or pre-position these resources to exactly meet that? Right now, again, it's a headache. It's like for every event, you'd assemble this army of people to deal with it, which is just impractical. So with our system, we have a calendar in which you can just go and enter the date and the how many X traffic you're going to see or you're expecting. We automatically scale ahead of time all these resources, and in that case, we even go automatically through a PR process where the DevOps guys can approve the scaling that it's recommending. And then these are all automatically scaled ahead of time of that event. So when that event hits, it's just smooth sailing and there's no issues. You don't need to burn out your DevOps guys sitting up all night and babysitting it, because this actually does the job. And it uses, all of this is driven by Gen AI. Think of it as driven literally by a neural network that is capable of responding. And furthermore, like for example, let's say you thought it was 10x, but what you ended up was 15x. Well, we can keep scaling. We have that ability to tell you to correct, to self-correct, or for that matter, let's say it didn't go to 10x, it was only 5x. We can actually scale it back down. All these features you get, for this event scaling, and this event scaling is a very interesting aspect because a lot of, even in other verticals, if you take a financial vertical, you have filing deadlines. You have the same problem. You have these surges, and this is a common theme in the web, and we are able to handle that. Or for travel verticals, for sports betting, that's another interesting vertical that we are addressing. So these are all areas where you can utilize these modern tools. So it doesn't have to be only limited to creating programs or texts, like we see with the large language models, but it can be used also for managing your systems. And that is what we have brought to the market.
That sounds absolutely fascinating, and looks like a solution that is utilizing AI
Yeah,
helps organizations automate lots of the the mundane and
yeah,
repetitive tasks,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And
That's
he's
exactly what you said it right, and it's a augmentation for DevOps. That's how we look at it. And it's high time because I think they are being faced with more and more challenges as we get more and more things into this digitized world with infrastructure running, all kinds of things across, and not only IT but even OT. So you have, you really are stretching those resources very, very thin, those DevOps resources, and they really need tools like this to help them get ahead with their work.
Yeah, right. That is very interesting. And I have noticed that you've been publishing that in Gartner report, Avesha was mentioned among the
Yeah.
companies that successfully leverage artificial intelligence to augment and
Yeah.
support DevOps. Can you tell, like right now, what I can see, right, in tech industry, lots of companies are trying to incorporate artificial intelligence as part of their solution.
Yeah.
Looks like you are already in the forefront of that trend. You have successfully done that. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more, like what part of the challenge you have managed to outsource to artificial intelligence, and how specifically you have done that.
Yeah. So in our particular case, as you said before, this is the very boring, mundane task of looking at, when and in any SaaS or any other enterprise, you have, these software that is being updated, actually no longer in hours, but even in minutes now. So there's a continuous stream of that coming in, but you still need to make sure that whatever comes in uh, is going to, there's enough resources so that they can manage and basically maintain the SLAs that the customers want. So the end customers of that SaaS. Well, right now, really, there's no way of doing this. I mean, you can do it manually, but by doing some benchmarking, performance groups, and all, they do that, but they can't do it at the rate at which innovation is happening. And uh, the beauty of a system like ours is it's continuously evaluating. Every 15 minutes, it's continuously evaluating every microservice, seeing how it's functioning, if it's meeting the SLAs or not, and then obviously adding or removing resources. And so this is something that um, AI can address because it's looking at data. It actually is looking at performance data and then saying, okay, this is what I need to do for increasing the capacity. So that, and it's done at each microservice level and taking into account the entire service graph. There's no way you can do this humanly do it. You really need an AI system to do this, and that's what we have shown very successfully, that you can actually do this. So I mean, and we're, again, there are guardrails and obviously all sorts of things we put in place so that there's nothing goes amok. But we are very confident that if you use the system, you will immediately start seeing benefits from your DevOps team's productivity, and then overall, cost and performance, that you're going to get.
Yeah, totally. So this Kubernetes environment, despite that, so not all it's not only very complex, it's also evolving
Yeah.
at a rapid pace. So I would be curious to know, what is in terms of product development, what is it that you plan to release maybe in the future? What is it that is on your radar that you'd like to add to your services and products portfolio?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I mean, there are lots of interesting areas that we can evolve further into. We have just scratched the surface, when it comes to the automation that we can do, because Kubernetes gives you this rich um, foundation that on top of which you can truly add all sorts of automation. So right now we were just looking at just the scaling part of it, but we are looking beyond that into setting of pretty much any parameter for workload placement. Like for example, if you had a distributed infrastructure and you wanted to be, for example, automatically place workloads into certain locations, uh, both because to address demand or to get more capacity, all those are things that are in our roadmap, and we're very happy to announce some of our, which we're working with some partners, which are very important partners, both in the cloud and in the edge infrastructure space, and we'll be announcing those very soon. What I can say is that the interest level is very high in being able to apply these types of tools, the AI in particular, and Gen AI, to create that level of infrastructure. In fact, we are even in one of our use cases, we're applying our own tool to help scale the Gen AI workloads themselves, because that itself is very challenging because there's a lot of demand for that, as you can imagine, and the inferencing part of that is very taxing. So people need help with that. So just the infrastructure piece of it is what we are focused on, and helping achieve a level of automation there that would make things much more easier to deal with, from a DevOps standpoint.
Got this. Looks like you are well equipped and have your like actively listening to the trends and the requirements from your customers and the needs that they to satisfy them. And so to build such a successful platform, you need to be able to innovate and also to be able to see what are the requirements on the market from your customers. So innovation, right? For me, it's a curious. I would be curious to know your input on innovation. How do you foster innovation culture in your company to be able to maintain that cutting edge, technology?
No, very good question, Dana. So we have a distributed team, just like everybody else, but we make it a point to be very inclusive in our the way we develop our products, and so we have we bring in all our team, no matter where they are, into important calls on architecture, and I have made it my goal to remove any kind of silos. So my team at any moment in time knows exactly where we stand with respect to the market and our customers. They're fully exposed to all the challenges we have also, and so they can keep working, as things come, we quickly let them be aware of it. Well, some people might view that as, in the old days as very disruptive, and so we don't see it that way. We actually see it as giving everybody the latest information and data so that they know what are the upcoming challenges. And what I have found is that they are actually able to rally around and give us come up with solutions and innovations that quickly, and help us address the requirements of our customers quickly. So that, for me, the time between from when a customer tells us of an issue and then resolving it is greatly compressed, and that is very important for me as a KPI. So that I've been using that as a way to make sure that we stay at the top of that innovation curve.
Yeah, that's interesting, and also that it's probably highly appreciated by your customers that you take the top priority, right? They are resolving any challenges or issues that might occur as the top priority. So that is a great customer centric.
Yeah, because then our guys, and they're not like just waiting on things to come through some bug reporting system. They are well ahead of the challenges and have
So what they're
solutions.
doing it proactively, is that
Yeah,
right?
proactively, absolutely proactively.
Got this. Raj, we started our conversation with your career path, and you have told it very, casually. I have started several successful companies, acquired for some huge amounts of money. And, when I get a chance to talk to people like you who have been like multiple entrepreneurs for many, many years and successful entrepreneurs, sometimes, like people want to decompose your brain and to get, to understand your way of thinking. So what I'm trying to say is the first company that you have mentioned that you have found and was successfully acquired, it was a network balancer, and then the Zuki, it was streaming technology, and now you have with the Kubernetes application management. So those, how these companies and or how these technologies are connected and how easy for you it is to build. So what is your kind of way of thinking when you are starting a new company, and how do you see market fit? How do you validate whether the company has the chance to succeed?
Yeah, yeah, they're good questions. So, I mean, first of all, I just want to say, I'm a big supporter of entrepreneurship, and in all these companies. In fact, there are many companies that also started from after my first company, and then very happy about that. And even this one, I hope that is the case. And one of the reasons that all my guys who are completely exposed to our team is fully exposed to how we run this place, and because they are actually here because they want to start their own after this experience. So that is very important for me and as a personal goal. And then to answer your question about, so I, when even 20 years back, starting this journey on the web, I was very impressed by the web and its potential to bring, compute essentially to any task. And we are still in that journey. I mean, we have seen lots of fruits of that, and along the way, in different areas. But I don't think we've seen all of the potential, and I think there will be, because there's still a lot of infrastructure and so on that can be renovated and made more modern and responsive and quick. And so as we proceed in that journey, I mean, to answer your question about validation, for me, at the end of the day, unless you're solving a problem that a customer can immediately benefit from, I just feel it's a waste of time. I want to be very, very focused on actually meeting the customers where they are and then helping them with their real problems. So that is a guiding force in our company, and we continuously strive to do that. And it's hard work. It's not easily done. It can't be done just through Zoom calls and all that. You have to literally meet people and understand that, because that is really at the end of the day where you can connect with the customers and understand where their issues are, and then help bring solutions to the table. So that's a very important part of my job and also of my sales team, and we are very actively doing that. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does. Yes, it does. It's interesting that you brought up the sales team. I believe we all know that the sales is a blood of every business. So if you could tell me, maybe one of the last questions, how do you build your sales team? If you could share that, what type of people you're looking to bring to the team so that they can be able to actually communicate the value to
Yeah.
the customers?
Well, it's very simple, right? I want people who are energetic and who are interested more in the customer and their problems than than what we've built or what we have currently built. Because what we have built, we are, it's a SaaS and it will continuously evolve. So I want people who listen more and maybe not talk as much. Mm-hmm. So I know you have to do both, but at the same time, the best guys for my team are people who can pay close attention to the customer and their needs, and then come up with a proposal that works for them. And that's the kind of people we're looking for, young, energetic people. That's really what I'm looking for.
Great. Yeah, that sounds like a great recipe to success. Raj, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man, so I really appreciate your time and your insights and sharing your experience. I'm looking forward to having you back maybe sometime soon.
Absolutely. Very nice talking to you, Dana.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.